What is going on, guys? Dylan from Levi's Backyard Performance here today on this episode of Will It Run. In about an hour or so, we're going to be cranking that over. Got some things to figure out, put back in, like, oil. So today's video is, I'm going to say sponsored. Sponsored by me, of course. I thought this would be a really good video for the viewer to see some of the checklists and things to do before you go cranking on a motor before your first startup. At least this is really only for people who have the engine together and it's ran before, because this could be used for break-in stuff, but we're not talking about breaking something in. This is just checklist before turning it over. Okay, first three things you're going to want to look for is oil, coolant, and fuel. If you got these three things, you should be fine to run your engine. To add to that is, make sure that all the moving parts that need to be oiled, such as like a drive shaft, universal joint, it's greased. Even if you're driving the car, just things like that, things that need to be taken care of before it goes into operation. So checking for oil, obviously, check the dipstick, common sense. And then once you put oil in it, or know that oil's in it, make sure it's not leaking from anywhere or dripping from something. When you fill it, clean up your engine bay, because you may not be able to find a leak if it's just something that you spilled. So clean it up. And then our second one was coolant, or water in our case. Make sure you see that petcock down there, and I say petcock, not, like the pet, cock. Anyway, we don't have chickens here. Make sure it's tight. Make sure all your radiator hoses are tight. Obviously, I went through and checked ours, but then just fill it through your radiator cap, and then you can check that off your list. So fuel. Your fuel, well, in some people's cases, you won't be able to check, but in our case, since we have a race car, look at what's in there. Granted, I don't think you'll be able to see that. Anyway, check your fuel cell, make sure there's fuel in it before you turn on your fuel pump, because that can burn up an electric fuel pump. So that's it for the fuel. Okay, we are down to leaks. Make sure you go under the car, make sure you go on top of your engine bay, look all over. Make sure there's nothing leaking out of your fuel rails, or in the case of a carburetor, the hose that goes up to your carburetor, or a return, which ours is right there. So yeah, just check for leaks, make sure there's nothing, get under the car, make sure there's no puddles, and it's no drips, and you should be good on leaks for that. Next, connections. So, like us, we have many wire connections, such as injectors and crank sensors down there, cam sensors up there with the map sensor. I mean, just all sorts of sensors. Your fuel pressure sensor, your I can't think of it. Manifold air temperature, I believe, is what it's called. Your TPS, your IAT, intake air temp, things like that. Make sure that's plugged in, good connection. And that should be good for your connections. On ground wires, so your grounds, things like that on your battery. Hold, I don't think that's a ground. I can't remember the wiring. Anyway, check that, make sure that's tight. And then you'll have several engine chassis grounds. So on down there. In case of our, got one here, and there's another one that goes into this harness, and there's another one on the other side. Make sure that's good. And then another, just kind of goes back to connections. make sure you have good battery connections. I've seen a lot of people throw away good batteries because they don't know how to check connections. So yeah, make sure you have that all tight and ready. And that's kind of a basic connection ground. You know, they're kind of intertwined. So that's it for that section of it. I'll get back with you in a second. Something I also forgot to mention is catch cans. Make sure you empty them out so that when you start the engine up, you can tell whether if it's pushing a bunch of stuff out, or even our transmission. Catch can, just even your coolant overflow, just everything that can be eliminated as a problem. Make sure it's empty and ready to go. And that really is the kind of basics to starting an engine for the first time. Y'all have a good day. I do appreciate you guys watching. I hope someone got something out of this video today. I know it's kind of all common sense, but for some people, starting an engine is kind of frightening. Just double check everything you've done to the car, really, or the engine, if it's on an engine stand or run stand. Because really, you don't want to screw it up. It's your pride and joy. Make sure you go through every connection, every hookup for fuel, whatever, like for turbo, for your oil feed line, your return line, everything. Check everything. And you should have a good day. So, I mean, you know, a little bit now is a lot later. You guys remember that. I think I already said it, but thanks for watching. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. It really helps if you like and comment. It really pushes us through the algorithm for YouTube. I hate saying that word because to me, this isn't about the YouTube thing. This is just about teaching you guys something so that you can take that and put it into your life and get something out of it. Anyway, I'm going to get off here and get cranking. I got a few more things to check, and then you will see if it runs. That'll be in the next video. I'll catch you on the flip-flop.